What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. You can go to my newsletter, which is in the description below, and get a free graphic novel just for signing up. Pretty awesome. All right, I got my Michael Turner Creations omnibus, I don't know what they called it, hardcover with slipcase in, and this was a Kickstarter from Aspen Comics. And this has the first editions of all of the Michael Turner properties. So it has Fathom, Soulfire, and one called Ecos, which I was not aware of before, but I am now. And it comes in this slipcase like this with this awesome art. You could have a choice of wraparound covers with this. I picked Sia Oyum. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but she is one of my favorite living artists. So it was a no-brainer for me, and I think it is a Kickstarter exclusive on that front. Now, this came with a ton of like extras. There are stickers and magnets and do not disturb signs and a poster. So if you're really all in on Michael Turner art, I mean, this Kickstarter was probably the coolest thing you could have ever backed. Pretty sweet stuff. I like the Aspen properties. All right, I love Michael Turner art, so it was, you know, a no-brainer for me to back, as it was also. Now, this is the size of a DC Absolute comic. So if you have any of the Absolute comics, I can't even like get it on here. It is the same size book. It will fit on your shelf with them, and it has very similar composition to something like that. So it's huge. This is bigger than an omnibus, so you really get the art all the way around. Now, when you take off the dust jacket here, you get a hardcover book that just says Michael Turner on it, and it says Michael Turner Creations on the side. It's like a glossy sort of deal. And this is one of the prints that came with it. I just stuffed it in the book. So pretty cool. I don't know. This one does not have the ribbon that the DC Absolutes have. So DC Absolutes have a ribbon for a bookmark that you can use on that front. This does not. So that's about the only difference. Binding is decent. You get a nice eye here at the bottom, if you can't see it. And so pages fall pretty flat and pretty good, which is great. It's not that long of an omnibus, so not too hard to do that. You get a nice introduction from Michael Turner's mother in here. And it gets right into Fathom. So Fathom contains Volume 1 of Fathom. And Volume 1 had, I think, 12 issues. It says so in the copy right here. I wish I had a little clearer table of contents on this front. It's probably my only gripe with the collection. So it contains issue 1, volume 1 preview, issue half, and 1 through 11. And a 12 to 14 remastered. There we go. So that is that. And it also contains Soulfire, which has a preview, beginnings, issue 0, issues 1 through 12, and then Ecos, which just has a preview. So Fathom is a, pretty girl, and if you look at this Michael Turner art in just full color, it makes it worth it by itself. And she comes from this like deep underwater race, basically, and is kind of discovering her heritage as this goes along. And I mean, you just get a lot of cheesecake, but it's absolutely beautiful. And I would say the writing, you get some existential threats that are big threats, and she has to deal with them. She makes some allies along the way as she discovers who she is. I mean, the story's all right, and I feel like there could have been a little more developed on that front. But again, you're reading this because Michael Turner's art is just the most phenomenal thing. Here's some cool little character vignettes at the beginning of this here. So I've read Fathom a long time ago, and enjoyable. Like I said, it's mostly for the cool art. I mean, this is pretty sweet. And Michael Turner did write it himself with Bill O'Neill on the second arc. He did all the pencils himself, and that's where you get the really cool stuff. You get this little side profile as part of the layout pretty often in this series. I know Fathom has gone on and continued into like volumes 2 and 3 and 4 I have not read any of those, so I can't speak towards those, except for this one, as I've read this one before. It ends at a spot where, you know, it's not exactly over. I mean, it does say at the bottom, the beginning. So you really just think that you're just kind of learning who these characters are. Oops, this is Soulfire. Whoops. Sorry. You are, even in Fathom, I messed that up. That is in the beginning. Here we go. To be continued in Fathom Volume 2. It's not at the beginning, but it's very similar. And, you know, we kind of learn who she is at this point. And then it's kind of over. So as far as storytelling goes, it's okay. But the art is so beautiful. I mean, you could just flip through this as an art book and you'd be happy on that level. Soulfire has a bit more interesting of a story, and it kind of makes sense. It's written by Jeff Loeb, and so you get a little bit more robust of a world where, you know, there were ancient magics. You know, this is like more of like a Aquaman sea adventure sort of setup, but with a hot girl instead. And this is more of like a fantasy tale, but it's set in the future where there's like this technology everywhere. You kind of got flying cars, and everybody's kind of forgotten magic, and magic's kind of returning. And they're returning because of these like winged creatures who are angel-like or bug-like, fairy-like. I don't know how to describe them. All of the above. And you get this like big dragon who just shows up and is really just hunting everything down at the beginning of it. And we get a guy who is like the chosen one to restore magic, and he goes on the run because this evil corporate guy is after him to kind of destroy everything and keep everything going. And this is him. And so he learns these powers, and he meets with these trainer types over the course of the deal. And then they end up in a magical land and have like a big giant battle at the end of it. So this one had a little better arc for like as far as like closure goes, and an actual fully defined arc. Now the real sad part about this one, which is like the most awful thing, is that unfortunately Michael Turner died you know, at this point in the story, and so he had it continued by Joe Benitez, who does beautiful art also. It's not Michael Turner, but it is beautiful art. It is very well done. I have no qualms about the art on this, but it's just like, you know that he's gone at this point. So it's just like, this is kind of tragic. But beautiful stuff. The composition of the book is wonderful. And we get to the end of it very shortly. Now, Ecos is only like a 6-page preview or something like that. And I'd never heard of it before, so I'm very pleased to have this. I guess it continues in Soulfire Volume 2 also. So, and this is just a world-building setup, basically. And I guess Jeff Johns wrote this, so pretty neat. And we just get this like kind of world where everybody's happy. It's like you got kind of weird steampunky tech, and it kind of looks Avatar-y. Really beautiful art again. And this guy just gets these visions of the future that there's going to be like a terrible, terrible thing happening. And then it's to be continued, and that's it. So that's all we learned there. And these previews are very formatted very similarly for all 3 series. This one never got made, and so very cool concepts. I would love to do something with that. It'd be fun. But cool stuff. And you get all the cover galleries at the back, because Michael Turner did a ton of covers and a ton of pinups and things like that, and they're all worth looking at. Just beautiful stuff all the way around. So a very complete volume. And, you know, I mean, if you want to get one thing from Aspen and one thing from Michael Turner to check it out, this is what I'd recommend. I mean, you basically get the whole shebang right here in a beautiful absolute-sized deal. Now, both Fathom and Soulfire have, like, complete edition hardcovers also, and soft covers. So, I mean, you can read them a little less expensively. I think this has $125, yeah, it does, retail price. But, you know, honestly, nothing beats a beautiful format like this. And I am super happy to have backed this. So good stuff. I'd say like a 9 out of 10 overall. Very fun. And, you know, I look forward to having this in my collection from now on. All right, hit that like and subscribe button. I will see you guys soon.